So we could have people living on the moon in less than 2 decades. NASA is planning to build a colony there by the year 2040. The space agency teaming up with universities and private companies on this. They supposedly want to send a 3D printer up to the moon and build homes out of specialized lunar concrete from materials that are found on the surface of the moon. It's part of one step in a larger process that could include getting humans to Mars. Okay, so we're joined to talk about this by Dr. Leroy+Chiao, who's a former astronaut, International Space Station commander. And you hear stories like this, and maybe you're conditioned to be dismissive. But New York Times had a big write-up on it, and now it's like, wait a second, is this true? People could live on the moon or on Mars? I mean, how real is this?
Well, the idea of a space colony, either in space or on the moon or even on Mars, has been talked about for decades. And so it's been around a long time, even before we started sending humans to space. And so you have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. Yes, it's theoretically possible. You can tell a story of how you can create a somewhat sustainable colony, if you will, on the moon or Mars. Now, initially, you're going to be very much dependent on a supply chain coming from the Earth. And as far as the moon goes, it's actually, or Mars for that matter, it's a pretty difficult thing.
When you said supply chain, I'm thinking we had enough problems during the last few years with getting something from California, more or less trying to get something up to the moon. But the idea in the Times story, they were talking about it. The headline was NASA working with private companies, and it was this idea of using, I guess, 3D printing, which is often misunderstood as well. But the idea that you go up there and essentially they call them printers, but they would build the houses out of, at least using, and we're showing some video of the proposal here of the surface of the moon. Is that something that could happen, that people could have these houses built on the moon and then live in them? It's possible, I guess.
Again, it's theoretically possible, not right now, but perhaps in the future. 3D printed houses, I mean, that was a big deal about that a few years ago here on Earth. To my knowledge, that really hasn't happened yet, so it's a lot harder to do that on the moon. And plus your raw materials on the moon, yes, you can use the lunar regolith, or the dust, if you will. And there's been a lot of studies, a lot of work done over the years of what we call in situ resource utilization, or ISRU. And so you would make bricks out of the, use solar heating to make bricks out of the dust. There are a lot of different things that have been talked about, even small experiments done, but we're nowhere near ready.
Well, yeah, it's going to take some time.
16 years, 17 years.
You've been in space. Not a lot of people have. Would you want to? Would you want to live on the moon? Would you want to live on Mars? Is it even remotely attractive to you? And, if they built you a nice little house?
For me, I would love to go explore the moon. It was the moon that inspired me all those years ago to want to be an astronaut myself.
Yeah.
I would love to go explore Mars, but I don't want to live in either place. I want to come back and live here on the Earth. It's much better here.
Yeah, you know it from both sides. So if you say it's better here, we'll go with you, and we'll stay here on Earth, I guess. Dr. Leroy+Chiao, it's, if nothing else, very interesting stuff. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.